Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
There's been a lot of debates on who started Pr3ssin High School, and I think that yesterday, and I've heard a lot of communicators, make a case in the NDC, make a case that it is the NDC that started the Pr3ssin High School policy. Yesterday, the former president reiterated that fact. Now, the former president has also been quoted as saying that he's going to review the policy. And I wanted him to answer a question on what that review means, because I have heard people, including CSO, say that the way that we have implemented it is not the best, because there are persons who may be able to pay for their children, but they are under this program and they are struggling. And one of the biggest challenges for Pr3ssin High School is financial problems and, finding sustainable funding. What exactly does the former president mean when he says that he will review the policy? Some parents are worried that this review will mean that the financial situation will be changed to have them bear some of the costs. Is that what it's going to be? Is that what the review means?
So yesterday, I heard President Mahama answer that question, and he was very clear. Free SHS is here to stay. Yes. It was started by him. He started it as a progressively free senior high school in 2015-2016. We were lauded and applauded by the UN for rolling out UNESCO, UNDP, all applauded President Mahama for rolling out the progressive free SHS. And let's be clear, the progressive free SHS is not something a political party must seek to even say belongs to you. If any political party wants to own it, then it should be the NDC, because we put it in the manifesto. Don't forget in the constitution. Don't forget the NPP ran away and boycotted the 1992 constitution. And free senior high school is a constitutional mandate. It is there in our constitution, 1992 constitution. The NDC put it there, that we must have a progressively free senior high school. Now, the question here is, President Mahama says he will review it. And then all of a sudden, the so-called men in the NPP, their understanding of the word review is cancellation. Have we not heard President Akuffo Addo say he was going to review things?
So what does the review that the President Mahama talks about mean? What does it mean?
The review is to rationalize the way the free SHS is being implemented today. You speak to any parent who has children in the school, and they'll tell you the challenges that they are facing with the free SHS. Poor sanitary conditions in the schools, poor feeding for their children, lack of educational material and TLMs, teaching and learning materials in the schools, overcrowding in the dormitories. These are real and present challenges. An inconsistent timetable where the kids literally go to school for 4 or 5 weeks, come home for 6 weeks. Parents are having to spend more on private tutorials for their children to keep them up, because the teacher-student contact hours have reduced drastically. These are real challenges. And listen, even Ken Oforiatta, I think, sat in this very studio, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if it was your network, but he sat in the media and made a clear point that even as finance minister, maybe that's one of the only things he ever got right. He thought that the whole process by which we were running the free SHS was wrong. Because how can you explain that a child who has sat in basic school all the way from Montessori to JHS, this child's parents has paid fees in dollars. Then as soon as that child gets into a government senior high school, that child becomes so impoverished that the government needs to bear the full cost. Absolutely not.
Is that a review that you are going to do?
We need to rationalize it and ensure that those who are willing and capable of making payments will make some payment, whilst the state will be in a position to absorb the cost of tuition. Okay? Those are things we need to look at. If a child is not indigent, and let's be very clear, that's one of the things President Mahama did in 2015. It was a targeted program. You'll have the list of the most impoverished people in Ghana, the LEAP.
So
okay, and so when we say we're going to rationalize, we're going to look at the way it's been implemented. First and foremost, do you have enough classrooms or dormitories for everybody? What's the consequence of that on the shift shifting cultivation they are doing at a traffic light system, is it possible for some people to pay? Not everybody. Some people who have the capacity, and several PTAs, or now they say we shouldn't call them PTAs.
If
we
it
should
is
call them
free,
PAs.
if it is free,
yes.
Why do you want some people to pay and others not pay? And how do you ensure that those who are actually asked to pay, or those who are not supposed to be paying, are adhering to it? Because we know how things.
So I have heard on this your network interviews with parents who have said, look, the government should let us pay so that our children. How many times have they paid?
Because EduWatch has done a research where about 100,000 school children could not do senior high school because of financial problems. So yes, there may be a few parents who may be able
you have 1.2 million.
There may be a few people who can pay
in the senior high school system. So if 100,000 could not pay and 1.2 million are present, and you're saying per your statistics 100,000 could not pay, it means 1.1 million could have paid something. But I'm not even saying that that's what we're going to do. I'm saying to you that of that number, there's some who are in a position who are willing and able to pay.
How isn't that going to be too much work? How are you going to compile that data?
Currently, look, it's the intransigence of this government that has brought us to this place.
So how are you going to do it?
Because there are parents who have decided. How many times have we not heard parents wake up and buy food and send to the schools because their children are starving?
So how are you going to do it? So you pick, what school did you go to? Sorry.
No, I attended secondary school in Ghana.
Oh, okay. Well, I went to Yasantua Girls.
Good.
So
in Yasantua Girls, for example, you have a number of children who've been placed there. And by no means am I saying that this is the full exhaustive implementation plan.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, in Yasantua Girls, for example, you've got children who are placed there who automatically will qualify for the full free SHS policy because the families are captured under LEAP. Automatically. These are persons who the state itself is already supporting with quarterly cash grants. So a child from any of those homes cannot be expected to pay anything. They must be full beneficiaries of the free SHS. Yes. Why? But the Yasantua Girls School, it is placements that push children there. The children of persons on LEAP would have qualified through BEC.
Right.
They could have been in whichever village in any part of the country.
Right.
Once they were placed and put in Yasantua Girls, they would definitely need, whether it's Yasantua Girls or Holy Child, and we've got these children across the country. So LEAP beneficiaries, for example, children of LEAP beneficiaries, for me, it's a no-brainer. Cannot be asked to pay anything.
So you come to Yasantua Girls, ask for the students whose parents are on LEAP.
We don't need to come to the school and ask. The database already sits with government. Government does that payment. It's that same database that's also, and then you have another database that's being used to do the placement. So it's simply running a query on it to identify the children who automatically, it's going to be a tiered system. So automatically you have the first tier of people who are LEAP beneficiary children, or children of LEAP beneficiaries, who automatically in that tier, once you fall in there, there is absolutely no question about it. You must go in free of charge. Again, I believe that one of the things, and I'm not saying, again, let me issue a disclaimer, I'm not saying that this is how it's going to be implemented, but one thing I would suggest to the review committee that will be set up, and there's going to be a national conversation. So it's not as though the NDC is going to sit back and just say we are doing ABC. President Mahama runs a consultative forum, and he stated that we'll have a national consultation on this matter, where parents will be invited to have their say. Teachers themselves will be allowed to speak. It's not going to be the situation now where when head teachers speak and teachers speak, they are reprimanded and moved out of their roles or punished or suspended. No, we'll give them a voice because our teachers have a voice in how the free SHS must be implemented. And so there's going to be this general consensus built on the best way forward between parents, government, educators, and even students themselves. So we're going to build this roadmap, and that's what I'm saying to you, that the national conversation will flesh out what the roadmap is. My contribution to that program is what that process is what I've just explained to you. It's my suggestion that, look, it's a no-brainer that LEAP beneficiary children must not be made to pay anything. Again, I think that if a child is coming in to a government secondary school from a private school of a certain standing, they cannot be asked to benefit fully. For example, if a child had attended any of our international schools across the country, where we know the fees are paid in dollars, and that child has done, and that child starts the BC and decides to come into the class A or class B schools in the public sector, why should they be paying, why should government be subsidizing 100% for them? They will get some subsidy, tuition for example, books for example, but if that child wants to be a boarder, the parents should pay for it. Because if they were able to pay, and I think this should not be a difficult thing for us to agree on as a country, because if you paid from Montessori to JHS 3 at least $1,000, in some cases there are some of those schools that charge $18,000 in this country, and parents pay, and after paying $18,000 for a child in JHS 3, that child goes to SHS 1 and the parents cannot pay 3,000 Ghana cedis. I mean, who are we kidding ourselves? So for me, my suggestion to that process of review will be that we should run a tiered system that aggregates and segregates the students and gives a tiered level of scholarship. But I think that across board, everybody in senior high school must have free tuition of a certain level. Free tuition. That must be fundamental. If you want to be in the boarding house, you want to get feeding and all of that, then we begin to look at the criteria for which you qualify to either get it free of charge, maybe at the 75% bursary rate, 50% bursary rate, 25% bursary rate. Even in the advanced world, Sewa, not everybody gets 100% scholarship when they go to universities. Some people get 50% scholarship, some 25%, some 75%. So it all comes back to making sure that we have a tiered system. And that's my contribution to this process. But the bottom line is that President Mahama's review is not a cancellation. He has made it clear he can't cancel something he started. Okay. But you see, I'll give you a typical example of why we'll make it better. And yesterday, President Mahama spoke about it. National health insurance. The NDC started the national health insurance in 1998 with a pilot program in parts of the Bono region. Then the NPP takes over office in 2001 with President Akuffo and roll out based on the successes of the pilot program. And that pilot program was carried out with the Catholic Health Services. So it's not something that you cannot confirm. The Catholic Health Services is an established body under the Catholic Church of Ghana. President Akuffo takes the pilot that was run under President Rawlings and rolls out a health insurance program. But anybody who remembers very well, you could not leave, if you were registered, for example, in AMA, and you traveled to Kumasi and you had to use the hospital, you could not use your health insurance card from Accra in Kumasi. In fact, you could not use your health insurance card if you were registered at that time Dangme West, which was the district where Ningo, Pr3ssin and Shai Osudoku were. If you left Dangme West and came to Tema, if you were registered in Ningo or Pr3ssin and got to Tema, you could not use your health insurance card, because it was a mutual health insurance system. It was only when Professor Mills took over office in 2009 that we then decided to make it a national health insurance system that then allowed people to move across the country and still benefit from their health insurance cards in any part of the country. So it tells you that when the NDC pilots a program and the NPP comes and then runs with it, because they didn't pilot it, because they don't understand it, like I said to you at the beginning, you can only explain and implement something that your mind can conceptualize. Once they don't understand it, it's the same thing with free SHS. President Mahama started with a progressive free SHS because, again, we believe that if you read the Constitution speaks about accessibility before making it free. That's why President Mahama started building the e-blocks. You must have access and then progressively make it free, because you cannot discriminate on the basis of access. Everybody must have the opportunity in every community where they are. And so if you had this community senior high schools, it will reduce the number of borders that you need to have, because then people will be in their communities and attend their community school and come back. The less borders you have, the less congestion in our boarding schools. The less borders you have, the less challenges of food. You saw what happened with Kobiche's video. When Kobiche went to visit the schools, you saw what's happening to the schools. Look, the food our children are being fed is worse than what the prisoners are even being fed. Are you proud as a Ghanaian of the food that we feed the next generation of our leaders? I, for one, I'm embarrassed. When I saw Kobiche's video, I bowed my head down in shame. Because no country must treat its children, no country must treat its youth the way we treat our children. We feed them unhealthy and wholesome food, and we pride ourselves And that's what President Mahama is coming to change. So when President Mahama says he's reviewing, it's to ensure that no child in our Ghanaian school, public school system, should be fed as though they are working on a slave plantation in Southern America in the 18th century. Absolutely no child.
All right.
We must treat our children with respect and the dignity that they deserve. And that's what President Mahama's review of free SHS is.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.